What sounds better to you, $16 silver or $60 silver? Michael Mohari over at Shift Gold just put out a great piece of research where he calls the current price of silver inexcusably low. We're going to dig into what he sees, and you can make up your mind for yourself. One of the first things he points out is the current silver to gold ratio. It sits at 85 to 1. That is historically very high. Yes, it takes 85 ounces of silver to get yourself just 1 ounce of gold. And what's interesting is if you look back just to the year 2000 and chart other times when the silver to gold ratio got that high, the 3 or 4 other times, it always resulted in a price explosion for silver. So the fact that we're sitting at this current 85 to 1 ratio can be seen as a very good sign, even in the short to medium term, for the silver price. Historically, the average has been closer to 40 to 1 or 50 to 1. So this 85 to 1 silver to gold ratio, which we probably don't pay close enough attention to as an indicator, tells us that silver is vastly undervalued right now. Do you remember 2011? Well, the silver to gold ratio fell to 30 to 1 just as recently as 12 years ago. To put that into perspective, if we had a 30 to 1 silver to gold ratio right now, that would put the price of silver at, yes, you guessed it, $60 per ounce silver. Silver has also been fighting a fierce battle with the Federal Reserve. For the last 2 years, as the Fed has raised rates, that has put downward pressure, a strong headwind for the price of silver to fight against. That is about to change. As a matter of fact, I believe it's changed right now, and soon, when the market wakes up to the fact that the Fed doesn't have much more room to be able to raise rates, we're going to see a change in sentiment towards silver and the other precious metals as well. If you're looking to buy gold, silver, or platinum, do yourself a favor and check out Pimbex, the online precious metals bullion dealer and sponsor of Ron's Basement. I was a happy customer before they offered to support the channel. You'll find they have the best prices, quality, and service. I think Pimbex is best, and you will too. And be sure to tell them that you're from Ron's Basement. The economy has not been helping silver either. As the economy slows, in particular in the manufacturing sector, that creates a decrease in demand for silver because a big component of the demand for silver does come from the manufacturing sector. So while we know we're living through an economic miracle, Bidenomics, we also know that manufacturing's slowing, and most of that supposed growth that we're having in the economy is actually coming from the service sector. But on a long-term basis, when we look at industrial demand for silver, we see a much different picture. Whether you're talking about electronics or solar panels, the picture gets much, much brighter. The demand for silver for solar panels alone will be astounding. Listen to this statistic. According to a research paper by scientists at the University of New South Wales, solar manufacturers will likely require over 20% of the current annual silver supply by 2027. And by 2050, solar panel production will use approximately 85 to 98% of the current global silver reserves. And all of this in an environment where, according to the Silver Institute, 2022 set records for every category of demand. As a matter of fact, in 2022, there was a deficit of silver, 237 million ounces more were demanded than could be supplied by the mines. And mine production decreased by 0.6% in 2022. So those earlier numbers that we talked about with solar possibly eating up 98% of the world's silver supply by 2050, all of that is within a context of decreasing mine supply. The miners just can't find new silver, and the only thing that's going to fix that is a much, much higher price. Hey, maybe a silver to gold ratio of 30-1, like we talked about earlier. I bet at $60 silver, suddenly the miners could start to see some more economic deposits that they could mine. But don't forget, it's going to take 8 to 10 years from the time that they discover new silver in the ground to the point that they can get it permitted, built, and into production. So there's going to be a long period of time where demand for silver continues to go up, and the supply is only going to be able to be increased at a very small marginal level. And we can set recession worries aside, because the green energy revolution that's going on around the world primarily relies on government support. And if we hit a big recession, we could even see additional monies being pumped into the supposed green initiative, again, that's taking hold not just in the United States, but all across the Western world. No discussion about silver is complete until we mention that it's also money. So whether or not the Federal Reserve wins its fight on inflation, loses the fight on inflation, has to print a ton more money because the country slips into a deep recession or even a depression, we know one thing for sure. The dollar has proven to us over the last 50 to 75 years that it's good for one thing, and that is losing its value. 75, 85, 90% of its value has been lost in the last 75 to 85 years. And what does silver do? It provides investors, it provides individuals like you and me to be our own central banks and to hold an asset that maintains its value. So when we talk about demand for silver, we also have to mention that more and more people will likely start to wake up. And silver is very attainable to a much larger group of people than any of the other precious metals. So it could experience a mass influx of individuals who want to convert their paper money into real money, and that could be an explosive time for the silver price. Be mentally prepared for that. We may have short windows of opportunity where the relative value of silver increases dramatically, and you'll want to be prepared. Hey, thank you for joining me here in the basement. It's always my honor. I want you to come back. In the meantime, why don't you go watch a live stream?